Do you want to know how to increase family time when you're time challenged? You're not alone. Many people want to know that. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about family life, family culture, communication, all through the lens of self-government. And in this video, we're talking about time. In this video, we're going to talk about what being time challenged looks like and how we can honor our priorities better with our time. One of my favorite authors, William Shakespeare, was enamored by the concept of time. In fact, many times in his plays, he would give the word time 2 syllables instead of 1, just so that when the actors would say the word, they would have to say time, so that it would draw it out and give it a little bit more of a prominent position in that sentence. He often had people who would talk about what life was like in their youth and then what happened to them over the years now that they've become this old character in the play. Very interesting to see how he understood time. In fact, he had quite a reverence for time, and I believe that many people do. Even though we use and abuse time and we run as fast as we can, don't we all wish we had more of it? Don't we, in a way, reverence time as if it's this thing that we could hold in our hand, but yet we can't ever really grasp? Just like William Shakespeare, we all want to know how to use more time, especially because as we get busier and busier in modern society, what happens is we start to suffer a little bit. Maybe our health suffers, but more importantly than that, our relationships tend to suffer. Many people are working so hard to support their relationships and the people they love most, yet at the end of the day, it's the people who are being supported by the money that's coming in from that person being gone all the time who actually are struggling the worst because that person's going to get so much more money. It's a vicious cycle, and many people wonder, how do I get out of this cycle? What do I do to increase my family time even though I can't get more time away from the office? So that's what I would like to talk about today. The first thing that we need to do is make sure that we recognize our priorities because there are tons of time wasters. So make sure you save time wasters for times when you do not have anything else that you could do. And I mean anything. So I'm classic for having business meetings in the car so that when I'm home, I don't have to have them. I'm classic for when I'm waiting in a doctor's office, I bring a book that I want to read instead of just surfing around or watching the TV. I try to keep my brain active and focused on my priorities all the time so that I don't end up wasting time. When we feel productive in some of those down moments when we're waiting in a line or something like that, it's amazing how that actually ends up benefiting our time usage when we get home with our family members. We feel more productive instead of passive. If we're watching a lot of social media on the bus ride or the train ride home from work, then guess what happens when we get home? We want to be entertained. We want to just let our hair down. But if we're thinking about things and reading things or talking to people, then when we get home, we oftentimes want to talk to people or work on projects too. So keep that in mind because you can increase your time just by making sure that you don't do hardly any time wasting. As you're examining your priorities, I hope you will put certain time stamps as a priority. For instance, in our family, my husband decided that every Thursday night would be special date night with one of our children. That meant he had to make it a priority to be home by a certain time. No matter what, it had to go in his schedule if he was going to be there. We also had a family activity night that always happened on Monday nights. So because of that, we made sure that Dad had it in his calendar on Sunday at our family meeting that he would be home on Monday night by whatever time was required to do our family activity. Those are things that we can budget in. They should be non-negotiable times. You can't have your whole day scheduled like that because you have to have a little bit of flexibility in there. But if you have a couple of key times during the week that you know are high priority times, maybe it's the time that you go out on a date with your spouse. That should be a top priority. Or maybe it's the time that you talk before bed instead of getting on the device. That should be a top priority. If you have to, schedule it in. Now comes some of the fun stuff. In fact, these are some of the tips that I've been waiting to share with you because many people don't talk about these things related to time. But before I get to those, click that subscribe button. You are not going to want to miss all of the other videos on this channel that will be life-changing for you, your family, and all of your relationships. Click the subscribe button now. Many people worry about time because they're spending a ton of time dealing with contention and with miscommunications, with feeling disconnected from other people, so they're beating around the bush, or maybe somebody's angry or having emotional problems and so they're walking on eggshells. Really, in a nutshell, many people are wasting a ton of time in their days just because they haven't established how they want to communicate with those people that are so high priority in their lives. Think of it at the office. If you know at the office that you have to accomplish a certain thing and the communication is falling apart, it's taking too long, then you gather everybody together at the office and you say, we've got to communicate better. Let's make a system. We've got to change our system so that we can get things accomplished in a more expedited manner, right? Well, we can do the same thing in our families. Many people feel like they don't have time because they're dealing with drama all day. Drama sucks time. I guess you just say drama sucks, right? Drama is not fun and it really wears us out. After you go through these emotionally draining experiences, then you don't actually have the capacity to use your time well after that. You start feeling selfish because you got drained by that experience. So what if you created an environment where your family knew how to communicate, where drama wasn't the reigning force of the day, and where everyone was nurturing to each other as they were solving problems? It's actually possible. So if you're wanting to maximize your time, start by planning what type of a family you want to have. We need to plan what type of family we want to have going forward. What do you want your relationships to be like? Talk about that as a family, create a family vision. If you need help about that, there are videos on this channel that talk about family vision, so you definitely can go find some of those. But also, you want to make sure that you have regular checkups with your family. So have family meetings, times where you get together and you talk about how you're doing at becoming this family that you have planned to be, and what types of problems need to be solved, or maybe what fun things that you want to do together. Think of that. Instead of talking about drama, we are now planning ahead for the future. Another part of this family plan, which decreases contention, is all being on the same page with language. So make sure that everyone in the family understands the same skills and the same language. So in our family, if I look at a person and I say, oh, you probably ought to drop the subject, they know exactly what that means, because there are multiple skill sets that I've taught my children that include a step called drop the subject, which means don't think about it anymore, don't talk about it anymore. Also, if I say to my child, this looks like one of those situations where you probably should disagree appropriately, they know the 7-step process for how to disagree appropriately, and they can do it right then. This makes it so that they have something to hold on to. They've pre-planned a way of communication to be understood so that they don't have to fight or whine or argue or talk back. Think how much time all of that whining takes. It's why we don't like it. It's not because we don't care. We just don't want to take all of that time. Here's a little magic pill for you. In fact, this is one of my favorite time-saving skills that I have. It's called pre-teaching. I have certain skills that I use as I am teaching my children. There are 5 of them. And while some of them correct problems, none of those skills correct a problem better than pre-teaching. Pre-teaching is when I prepare my child ahead of time for what's going to come. I teach them the skill they need, and then right in the minute I say, okay, here's the time to use that skill. This is pre-teaching. It's something that I can have a mindset of. Instead of being reactive, I can have a prepare mind. I'm going to prepare everybody for success. So if I need to give my child an instruction to load all of the groceries out of the car and I know he doesn't want to do it, then I might pre-teach. And I would say, Quinn, I'm going to give you an instruction. Remember to follow an instruction. You look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately. Then you do the task immediately and then check back. Do you got that? And he'd be like, yes, Mom, I got it. I know it. Then I'd say, that's a great job. And I would tell him, okay, for your instruction, I need you to go and unload the grocery bags from the car and bring them into the house, okay? And that's where he says, okay, I pre-taught him what he needed to do. His brain was ready. I told him this is what needs to happen, and he goes and does it. And then he comes and checks back. Now I'm spending my time having a positive interaction, praising my son, instead of that longer amount of time that it takes to do a correction. Powerful stuff. And the groceries still got unloaded. When people whine, complain, talk back, that all takes time. So we've got to stop it right when it starts. This means if parents are ready with a skill for how to do an appropriate correction, then they can save a lot of their time. If you entertain that talking back or that whining, if you try to convince them out of the whining, then you are just wasting more time. Their time and your time. And what are you doing to waste that time? It's called power struggling, because that's what they're doing with you. And if you engage in it, you've taken the bait. So the best thing to do to save time is to just go straight to a correction. You've already pre-taught what they need to do. If they don't do it, then you just simply do an effective correction. These corrections are done with love and calmness, but they are definitely firm. We tell the child what they did, what they should have done, why that would be a better idea, what negative consequence they've earned, and then we practice things the right way. This type of correction technique does not feel emotionally draining or dramatic. In fact, it decreases anxiety, which overall saves time. If you've enjoyed this video about time, I'm pretty sure you'll love my next video, which is 7 common parenting traps to be aware of. There are a lot of traps out there, and if you know what you're looking for, it'll save even more time. Click on the link to that video now.